Oh, I'm getting all of them. I'm getting all of them. I'm the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT, baby. That's why he's the GOAT. No, I was gonna get that. I was gonna get the sounds right there. I was gonna get it. You don't understand. What's up, everybody? My name's Bimler, and today we're gonna be talking about Radiohead's 1995 sophomore record, The Bends. I gotta confess something. Radiohead is probably my favorite band of all time. I love them. I love their music. I love all their albums. I want to talk about them. And I want to kind of do this with a lot of bands that I've been listening to for a long time. Even though my first two videos on this channel were more based on albums that I had more recently heard, Clancy having just come out, and Nurture being something I had heard a little over a month prior to making that review. I also want to talk about music that I didn't just hear, and that I've been listening to for a long time. I want to go artist for artist here, starting with Radiohead, because I love Radiohead. I love Thom Yorke. He's my favorite little guy. And The Bends was the first Radiohead album I listened to. I skipped Pablo Honey. I don't know if I regret that decision or not. I heard The Bends is kind of a nice middle ground between the goofy grunge music that they were making with Pablo Honey and the more sophisticated electronic-inspired rock music that they would make on OK Computer. And it seemed like the perfect starting point. The Bends is, on its own, a really great 90s rock album. Talking about, in general, a lot of things from a mixture of personal, mental issues, as well as romantic issues, as well as issues having to do with becoming famous due to their hit song. You might have heard it, Creep. I don't know. It was one of those kind of hits that just kind of fell off in the underground and nobody really heard it. The song did make the band really big and really successful, and Thom Yorke, Radiohead's frontman, didn't really like that. Understandably so. If you had become that famous overnight and your garbage record label was telling you, hey, you gotta do Creep again for the rest of your life, you'd probably be upset about it too. Just watch that one live performance at the MTV Beach House, and you'll kind of know exactly what I mean. But besides just an emotional experience, this album has plenty to offer in terms of unique sounds, ideas, and songwriting in general. I mean, it's not Radiohead's best work. We all know they'd go on to do much better things, but it's good. It's really good. Starting with the opener Planet Telex, I think this is actually one of the most underrated Radiohead songs and openers in their catalog. I think contextually, not only does it set up the album, I kind of want to refrain from talking about it too much, but the rest of their discography as a whole. It's a really great sort of glimpse into Radiohead's sound. Thom Yorke recorded this song's vocals while he was blackout drunk in the corner of the studio, and the lyrics are very Radiohead. Dejected, kind of pessimistic, everybody's broken, everything is broken, and it kind of goes hard. I really like it. But the sounds on this song, the electronics over the smooth guitar riffs that kind of coat the song, sounds very spacey, kind of like the name of the song might have you think. In general, nothing on The Bends really sounds like this song, but at the same time, it's the perfect introduction into The Bends. Speaking of The Bends, track 2. The Bends! This is actually a really good song. It's probably my go-to song for doing anything karaoke related. I don't know. I love this song. It's got such a vibe and a groove to it, and I think it's really kind of peak old Radiohead. Anybody can enjoy The Bends as a song. It's very, just, regular rock. Guitar, drum, bass, vocals. It's got all of them, and more. The lyrics provide some really cool imagery. Thom Yorke feeling lonely. The words are coming out all weird. Where are you now when I need you? Talking a lot about his insecurities, talking a lot about being more popular and still feeling lonely and isolated and insecure. Very early Thom Yorke things to sing about. Oh, also the ending of the song goes really hard. I love the I wanna live, breathe. That whole bit, great, love it. Track 3, High and Dry, is the big hit on this album. I can't really go here or there on it. It's a very basic 90s rock song, and it doesn't really do anything interesting. It's by far the least interesting song on this record. It's okay. I definitely don't care for it as much as track 4, Fake Plastic Trees, a Radiohead classic. Thom Yorke delivers arguably his best vocal performance on this song, and the lyrics tell a very heart-wrenching story about love. And Tom, as he does on many a Radiohead song, singing about being sad and feeling unfulfilled. Very par for the course in terms of lyrical topics. However, I think this song is pretty great. The way it progresses is very linear, but very satisfying, especially with the end of the song, where he just starts singing about, like, just when it gets quiet. It's like, ugh, it's so good. Highlight on the record, easily, and also goes into a bit of a low light on the record. I'm not really a big Bones fan. A lot of people like Bones. It's okay. It's a fun song, I will say that. Tom York's vocals in the chorus really stretch up to some highs you don't see a whole lot from Radiohead. It's a very fun chorus to sing. The song just kind of talks about getting old, and that's literally it. I don't really care for the song that much. It doesn't really do a whole lot for me. It's often a song that I can hear people talk about a bit too much, especially when they don't talk about the very next track, Nice Dream. I love Nice Dream. There was a time I said that Nice Dream was probably the best song on the Bends. I wouldn't say that anymore, but it's up there. It's a very sweet, smooth song, one of the most unique on the record. The whole thing kind of feels like, to me, wanting desperately to appreciate the situation that you're in, whether that be socially, romantically, career-wise, and just kind of still feeling hopeless despite it. That's what this song sort of encapsulates for me. Really fits in the Ben's sort of melodrama, just generally sad feeling. And that's another something I love about this record, is that you kind of forget it's sad sometimes, because some of the songs just bang, and even if Tom York is singing about something truly tragic, the song might go hard enough that you can still jam out to it without really having to cry. A perfect example of that would be the next song, Just. This is a fan favorite, this is most people's favorite, it's one of my favorite, and for good reason. This song is the essential Ben's song, in my opinion, besides maybe Fake Plastic Trees. This song goes crazy hard, has some of the best riffs on the whole record, and a fantastic melody throughout its whole run. Tom York's vocals on the chorus are just infectious. You do it to yourself, you do. Unforgettable. He's letting loose a lot on this album, which is something that I kind of miss him doing in later records, especially past Hail to the Thief, but it definitely shows his maturity as a vocalist, and it is nice to go back and see it on things like Just, or, this album in general. He's a much more immature vocalist, for better and worse. And Just is kind of the primary showcase of the better part of that. The song that comes next is My Iron Lung, which is quite an important song on this record, because hey, did you know this song was about Creep? Yeah, it's about Creep. It's about their big hit song, and how they kind of hate how famous it made them. You heard that one before? Yeah, this record talks about that a couple of times. And My Iron Lung, while having a really good metaphor at its core, this is one of my favorite songs. I think that breakdown can be fun at times, but just something about the way it sounds is just very muddy to me. And maybe that's just me being delusional. Nonetheless, that's how it sounds to me. Some of the vocal performances towards the beginning of the song, though, are great. And like I said, the metaphor and some of the lyrics are pretty good as well. After that, we get a personal favorite on this album. I hear a lot of people sleeping on Bulletproof I Wish I Was, and I really don't get why. This is one of the best early examples of a quiet, stripped-back Tom York sad song. One of the best vocal performances on the record. I feel like I've said that a lot. Have I said that a lot? It's definitely true. The falsettos towards the... You wouldn't call it a hook, would you? When he says the title of the song, sounds great. And some of the lyrics on this song are just downright depressing, man. Just the line, "You have turned me into this." Like, that whole verse is just really, really good. It's really good. It's a top-tier Ben song for me, and I think more people should appreciate it. Speaking of songs I think people should appreciate more, Black Star. It's a middle-of-the-road Ben song for me. Some people kind of disregard it. I think it's pretty good. The vocal performance, again, on the verses, very high falsetto. As opposed to Pablo Honey, he really leans into the falsettos a lot more than he did on that record. And this song is a prime example of that. I was just talking about how much more people should be appreciating Bulletproof, because it's kind of something a lot of people disregard. But a song that I completely get people disregarding is Sulk. It's kind of a weak song to bring us into the very strong closer, Street Spirit, Fade Out, which I'll get to in a second. But Sulk in general, if there's one word I can use to describe it, it's forgettable. But what's not forgettable? Yeah, that closer, Street Spirit, Fade Out. Oh, this is some of Radiohead's best lyrics and imagery in a song, especially on this record. The cracked eggs, dead birds scream as they fight for life will never not go hard. And it's just a very downtrodden, melancholic, and fitting way to end this record. And it's really cool. Especially with the ending lines just being immerse yourself in love. is kind of an interesting message to leave the listener with towards the end of this record. I don't think people talk about that a lot, as hard as those lines go. But I think it's fantastic, and people should talk about it. In general, The Bends is really where Radiohead started to be Radiohead. You've probably heard that a million times if you pay attention to Radiohead. I'm not really saying anything new about this record. Radiohead's kind of a band that everybody's talked about already. I love The Bends. It's nowhere near my favorite Radiohead album, but not because it's a bad album. Just because Radiohead does that many good albums. I'd probably give this one a B+. I think it's a pretty solid record, and if it was their debut, it would have been a fantastic debut. And in my little headspace, sometimes I like to say it's their debut, because I'm not really a big fan of Pablo Honey, but we might talk about that someday. If you've heard The Bends, and whether you just heard it, you're just getting into Radiohead, or you've been listening to Radiohead for decades, I don't know, what do you think of the album? Anything that I missed? Anything you disagree with? Let me know. Like this video if you liked the video, and subscribe if you want to see more. Hit the notification bell to be notified when that more comes out. Over the next little while, I'm going to be taking artists that I've been listening to for a long time and going through their discography interlaced with me listening to new albums, which I do fairly regularly, so you can expect a video at least weekly from that, on top of a video at least weekly from stuff like this. I'll be talking about OK Computer next, because it's the next album I listened to and in their discography, so why not? But yeah, stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.